Conversations that should have worked. Why good conversations still go bad. By the Mercer Journal. Most failed conversations are explained too quickly. Someone must have been careless. Someone must have meant more than they said. Someone must have been defensive, inattentive, or looking for a fight. Sometimes that is true, but it does not explain enough. Some of the most confusing conversation failures happen between people acting in good faith. Where it begins. Let's use a simple example. You ask a colleague, is the report ready? You mean it as a logistical question. Where are we on timing? Do we need anything before the meeting? They hear something else. Why isn't it done yet? Why am I having to check on this? Their reply comes back short. I'm still working through the numbers. You answer, I just need to know if we're on track. They reply, I said I'm working on it. Now you hear defensiveness. They hear pressure. At this point, neither of you is yet arguing about the report. No one has raised their voice. No accusation has been made. And yet something has already shifted. The argument begins before the argument appears. By the time the visible disagreement arrives, both people may already be responding to different readings of the same exchange. This is the kind of conversation failure that interests this series. Not open hostility, not obvious bad faith, the quieter kind. The kind that begins as an ordinary exchange and ends with two incompatible readings of what just happened. It happens in ordinary places. At 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, a simple status check turns sideways. By 5 o'clock, a project is stalled. Two people are drafting defensive emails they haven't sent, and both are privately convinced the other one changed the tone. The words stayed the same, the conversation didn't. The break is not where it appears. Most of us still carry a very old assumption about conversation. If the words are clear, the conversation should work. But that assumption does not survive ordinary life. Careful people still misalign. Thoughtful people still leave conversations with fundamentally different readings of what was said, what was meant, and what the exchange was for. This forces a harder question. If the words themselves were sufficient, then increasing precision should reliably solve the problem. But it often does not. Sometimes it makes the problem worse. That suggests the problem may not be where most people first look for it. The visible disagreement may not be where the conversation actually broke. The break may happen earlier, not in the facts, not even necessarily in the wording, but in the interpretation of what the exchange is for. A request for information becomes a perceived judgment. A clarification becomes a perceived challenge. A short answer becomes evidence of resentment. The words have not changed. The exchange has. The next question. By the time most people begin trying to repair a conversation, the level they are repairing may no longer be the level where it broke. This is why some conversations become difficult before they become openly adversarial. By the time people begin discussing what was said, they may already be standing inside different readings of why it was said. Many failed conversations are not primarily failures of intelligence, morality, or even vocabulary. They are failures of alignment at a layer most people do not yet notice. And if that is true, then the next question becomes unavoidable. If words do not determine what a conversation becomes, what does? This is the first podcast in an ongoing series examining the mechanics of ordinary conversations that go bad. If you'd like to receive new installments each week, feel free to subscribe, and thanks for listening.